now live from the actual Dogleg Brewery in Fort Worth, Texas for the first time ever. It's time for You Can't Brew That on Television. Now, here are your hosts, the Reverend Ryan Bono and Kyle LaPointe.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to yet another exciting edition of You Can't Brew That on Television. Kyle and Reverend Bono, we're here, as we are every Monday, helping you bridge the gap between frat boy and beer snob.
And for the first time, we're no longer in the Dogleg Annex. We are now in the brewery.
So hopefully, and we're really hoping this is the last set change, although I think people were getting pretty excited about the set changes. It kept everyone on their toes, but
we definitely had a different thing. Different thing falling down or not working, but hopefully we'll get rid of that pretty quick.
Yeah, I think we'll cure the boredom with some more technical difficulties and some dogs barking, whatever else, so...
We cured the technical difficulties of it being like a humidor in here earlier.
That's right.
This AC has definitely improved the situation.
Some high tech here in Dogleg Brewery. We have an air conditioner. It's very exciting.
Yeah, it works really well. So for us,
how about while I'm cracking open tonight's beer? How about you tell everyone a little bit about it?
I had to empty our Scottish Red. We just made an Irish Red that because Bono is so Irish, I named it Scottish Red. Just for the fun of it. Now, we've got tonight New Belgium's Ranger IPA. I'm pretty sure this is a new brew. I've never seen it.
It's fairly new. We've got a member of the studio audience sharing with us tonight.
Okay. It's typical. It uses some Cascade and Chinook hops. We've got both of those in the fridge ready to do an IPA ourselves.
We're pretty huge fans of the Chinook ever since we discovered it.
It's really good. And this has Simcoe as well, and I've never actually tasted or smelled Simcoe. So we'll give that a shot and see what it's like. But I'm thinking that it should be a pretty good brew. New Belgium does a good job with everything that they do. So
for those of you out there tasting along with us tonight, I haven't tasted it yet, but because it's an IPA, you're going to notice it's got a lot of hops to it. It's going to have a lot of bitterness there in the back, and probably decent hop aroma, and this is fairly typical of the IPA, and the reason IPAs are very hoppy. It stands for India Pale Ale, and hops are a very good preservative. So India Pale Ales were made to withstand the long voyage to India. It was originated by the Brits.
Yeah, by the Brits.
Yeah, it was British style originally, and Americans took it and kind of mutated it, made it a little more citrusy.
Yep. Just hops are a lot like grapes. Where they grow makes a big difference. So the soil conditions and where everything that's going on. Yeah, you can grow a Hallertau hop in England, Hallertau in Czechoslovakia, I believe, or you could grow a Hallertau in the U.S. And the U.S. is going to be a lot different, and that's just the way it's going to work. Just like a brewery in Napa Valley is going to taste different than one in France, a winery.
So this is tasting so far to me like an American IPA. There's some floral in there, I think.
Oh, for sure.
There's a little bit of earthy in the nose.
That Simcoe must do that.
Yeah, I think that's what the Simcoe is going to be.
The Cascades and the Chinooks don't tend to add a whole lot of the floral notes, the earthy notes, but that's really good.
Studio audience, any comments?
I believe New Belgium Brewery is now fully wind powered, so this beer is green.
Thank you, studio audience. You don't say much, but when you do, it's to the point. And
I may be colorblind, but I'm pretty sure that's not green.
Not the beer physically green. It's like hippie.
The brewery is run by a bunch of hippies, is what you're saying when you say that the beer is green.
It's in hot bottles. Yeah.
Well, they're all barefoot up there. So what do we got on tap for tonight? We got some trivia.
We got some trivia. We'll go ahead and lay that out there, and then we're going to just talk about experiences with beer and brewing, and what kind of got people started in liking beer and got people started in brewing, and so be thinking about those kind of things, your firsts, if you will, and we'll talk about that in a second. But until then, Bono, I'd like to ask you a question.
Supposedly these are getting easier because I'm too dumb. Although he hasn't answered any of mine correctly yet either, but...
I came pretty close. Rich, would you like to ask this question?
Sure thing, guys. Bono, tonight your trivia challenge is to name 6 different craft beers, not breweries, mind you, 6 different craft beers that come in a can.
I'm going to go with Southern Star Pine Belt Pale.
Okay.
I'm going to go with... What's that?
I'm not gonna tell you.
I can't remember the brewery. A little something something.
I want the whole name.
Oh, come on.
It's got to have the brewery too.
Old Chub? Is it Old Chub is not the brewery name. Alright, this is not going to go well for me. Ska True Blonde. Ska True Blonde Pale. I have had Killian's Irish Red in a can.
But Killian's is brewed by Anheuser-Busch.
He specifically said not craft breweries.
No.
No, that was not name the cans, not the
correct.
breweries.
The audience help.
No, you can't help, but you can take over as soon as he's done crashing and burning.
I'm crashing and burning here
So-
because I can see the beers and I just can't remember the brewery. I know that 350 is in a can, but once again, I can't remember the brewery.
You are way off. Okay, anyway, Oscar Blues is what you were looking
Oscar Blues,
for.
thank you.
And it's not the 350, that's from South Park. It is the
1050. 350 is from South Park. Bono is wrong. .com.
So yes, Old Chub was also brewed from Oscar Blues, and there's Mama Little Yellow Pills, and
I've never heard of that one.
yeah, they've got
Just
Old
about
Chub.
I know just about everything Southern Star makes.
Yep, you got the Buried Hatchet Stout.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could have named it with just Oscar Blues and just Southern Star. Like I said, I put it up on a tee, but you just didn't want to swing.
David wants to know why he has a commercial every 5 minutes, and the answer to that is because we're poor.
Yeah.
So sorry for the interruptions.
Well, I guess so until we can pay the $5,000 a year to be live members of live stream.
So
You're
anybody
only
that
getting
happens to
commercials
have
every 5 minutes? I should have that cranked up way higher than that.
So anybody that happens to have several grand on them and wants to invest in an up-and-coming internet television show, you know who to call.
We'll promise you 0% stock and 0% future interest.
I think
it'll pay off for you, though. You can have a beer.
Yeah, we'll give you beers if you buy them. Bring them up here. We'll let you drink them,
We'll give you a glass to drink it out of.
Yeah.
You can't take it home.
and we'll probably end up stealing your glass and drinking
Probably.
out of it. So
And breaking it in the parking lot.
So tonight we're going to talk about
Beer.
what got us all into brewing or drinking beer, and this is one where we're going to encourage a lot of activity on the chat. We're going to encourage activity from the studio audience because I see at least one beer
This
drinker
is
in the studio
very
audience.
tasty.
This is a great beer. You know,
The
is this
caramel
is
is slight, but
is this an IPA that this? Yeah, they're calling it an IPA. This almost seems like just like an American pale. It doesn't seem like it's quite
it must
bitter
be
enough.
it must be big enough percentage-wise to call it an IPA. That's the only thing.
Yeah, maybe
6.5. It's on the low style. It could fit as an American pale.
Yeah, this
Very
is actually one of those beers that kind of blurs the style guidelines. Where do you think this kind of beer could win a good prize?
It would have to be under an American IPA or an American Pale
I
Ale.
was thinking about a special competition.
Or the best damn beer competition. Sorry, Bono. I just totally...
I was trying to give you a segue for that.
right over top. Lost it.
Kyle's
okay,
wrong this
so
time.
best damn beer competition, and that is coming up in about 3.5 weeks. It's going to come up quick on us, so we're going to try to press it more and more in your face here coming up. We've got a hell of a prize. We've got a 3-gallon keg, so we're talking it sits about this tall, maybe 2 feet off the ground. You can take that, put it in a fridge sideways. We're going to have it custom airbrushed for this competition only. Best damn beer 2010. It'll have it printed on there. It's going to be awesome. We're really looking forward to it. Think that it's going to be a hell of a prize. The prize itself is costing $250. So we're charging $10 an entry, and we're $250 is different than
250 is not the same as 350
and way
or
less than $10.50.
1050.
So we.
Well, it was about that time that I noticed this Girl Scout was about 8 stories tall and was a crustacean from the Paleozoic era.
The Loch Ness Monster.
I said, damn it, monster, get off my lawn. I ain't giving you no 350.
Thanks, Rich.
And I think that was a commercial. It was 5 minutes, so I figured we needed another commercial.
We'll see another one here in about 5 minutes. So.
But yeah, this competition, we're basically capping it at 50 entries. We're hoping for at least 25 because at $10 an entry, we're only allowing 1 entry per brewer. we're barely going to recap our investment just into the prize, let alone the rest of the stuff. The whole premise of this competition is not to make any money. It's not to do anything but have a good time and have some entertainment value. So
it really is going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
You know, we're going to be judging live on the internet. There's going to be 7 judges. We've all got our own personality quirks
and different things that we like. I mean, you may hit an IPA, and Bono and I are going,
yeah,
good.
we're loving it, and Vicky and Dave might be pitching it. You know, who knows? But I think as long as you're submitting a beer that doesn't taste like pool water or rotten vegetables
or something filtered through a diaper.
Yeah, beyond that, I mean, it's luck of the dice. If you submit a drinkable beer, you've got a really good shot.
Yeah. So we're thinking this is going to be pretty cool. Look, Tucker, he's doing it again. He's creeping towards the
comment about your beer
We got
being
chickens in the bag.
filtered through a dirty diaper drew some laughs from the studio audience here, and probably at home, but it's not that far from the truth,
No.
given some of the beers that we tasted when we were judges.
Some of us might have watched the Family Guy last night.
Oh,
So
they haven't watched that yet. Oh, okay. So, well, apparently Family Guy did something last night. I've got it on Hulu, haven't watched it yet, so we'll hit that one up next. But Tugger, my dog out here, we have chickens, and they're behind a fence, but he still feels the need to walk at that fence as slowly as possible and creep up little by little as he tries to get these chickens.
And for those of you watching in such cosmopolitan places as Jacksonville and Orlando, welcome to Texas, where we have chickens in the backyard. That's another one of those commercials.
Sorry,
I
that's
guess.
the last one.
We wanted to talk with everybody, and we wanted to make this sort of more of a discussion than us talking to you guys.
Right.
And we wanted to talk to everybody just about what inspires you to brew beer or to drink good beer or even bad beer. I mean, who knows? But we built this beautiful brewery that you see behind you, and it's because we got the calling. You know,
Yeah.
we're really passionate about brewing beer, and it's something that you guys are at least partially into, or you wouldn't be watching the show.
That's right, or at least you like beer. You know, you don't have to be a brewer to watch our show.
Absolutely
That's something
not.
that we kind of differ on. We saw somebody sent us a clip today about some other show that, you know, and they're like, uh-oh, you got some competition. You know, we don't really consider that kind of stuff competition. We've got a live program where we talk about beer and brewing and the community of beer, and we're, from what we know, the only ones who do it like that. So,
And we're not nearly as good as them, so that
and
also
we don't have
makes
nearly
us
the production budget.
not
so-
competition.
Exactly. But anyway, we're...
Kyle, what got you into drinking? Because both of us, I think, drank good beer before we started brewing.
Well, I would say more than anything, it was a lack of attention from my mother that drove me to drink.
Nice.
And I figured if I'm going to... sorry, my mom's in the studio audience tonight. I had to get that dig in there. But,
You begged after hockey games when you were 18.
that's right. Or it was
Or-
when
yeah,
we
or-
were 18 and playing hockey games, and my mom was an illegal provider of alcohol to young children. So, yeah, that... And we were drinking such fine beers as Miller Lite or
nice. Very, very.
Coors Light or Bud Light even.
I can actually out-trash that from my
All
first
right.
beer experience. And in fact, a member of our studio audience was around when I first started drinking beer, because he would come over to my apartment every Saturday and we would play Mario Golf and drink several cases of Rolling Rock.
Rolling Rock. We drank a lot of that in college.
It's just a thoroughly horrendous beer
Yeah.
that I loved at the time.
Well, you know, it got bought by Coors Miller and shipped out completely. They bought the name, shut down the brewery, and moved it to another state.
Mexico? Did
Yes,
they
pretty much.
Move it to Mexico?
So,
Because
so basically, once we started getting it, it was no longer the beer that was made popular in the Northeast and Pennsylvania in particular. It was now a watered-down version of Coors Light.
So what inspired you to make the move from Bud Light and Miller to like Spaten and Bernardus? What drew that out of you?
Well, we're talking. Who's Kelts? Do we know Kelts?
I have no idea who
Kelts?
Kells
Who are
is.
you, Kelts?
That's my sis.
Oh, that's Kelsey. All right. Well, she's drinking some Texas tea, as she's calling it, which I'm assuming is beer, but I'm probably wrong because I don't know what that is.
Somebody informed us that Texas tea is like brown trash can punch.
Okay.
So
Well,
good luck with the trash can punch.
that would inspire me to drink beer. Bad around
Oh,
trash
Lone
can
Star,
punch.
of course.
And if you'd ever like a good recipe for trash can punch, there's one on www.bonoiswrong.com.
Bonoswrong.com, an excellent website full of lots of fun facts. Kelsey informs us that she's drinking Lone Star, which is, I was just telling my cousin this weekend when we were hanging out in Tallahassee that Lone Star is what you drink in Texas when you can't really afford Miller.
Right.
And it's actually an enjoyable drink.
Yeah.
I really like it.
Anything's enjoyable on your 14th beer. So everything's got its place. That's the way I look at it. But,
It's something that you can just drink and drink.
So what got you into brewing?
What got me into brewing? It would have to be my sister buying me a Mr. Beer for Christmas.
No.
My
sister bought me a Mr. Beer for Christmas.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's interesting that our sisters think alike.
Yeah. Sad thing is, I never used it.
I used mine quite a bit. I used to make stout every year around October because our friends would all head down to downtown Dallas to yell at Texas people in the West End.
We tried that this year, and the cops broke us up.
Yeah, the cops broke us up. It was very unfortunate. But I would always make stout and put it into soda bottles so that we could walk around the West End drinking beer, and everybody would think it was soda. Once again, a member of our studio audience was present for those shenanigans.
Yeah, that was really interesting, by the way. Just going to sidebar on this, but yeah, we went down to West End, which is a typical Texas, Oklahoma rivalry hangout. Everybody goes. In the past there's been fights and whatnot, but the repercussions are so bad these days that most people don't fight. But there is still some banter back and forth. So we got in a match where we were insulting each other with this one group of Texas fans, and it was all good natured. All of us were having a good time and laughing on both sides. And the cops got in there on their segways and went,
you gotta get out of here.
Oh, gosh. And I've never been segwayed out of something before, but I thought that was pretty fun.
At least they didn't bust off the horses.
Yeah, they definitely didn't horse trot.
We should bring
us.
sugar cubes this year just in case.
So we ended up rallying around the cops and shaking all the Texas fans' hands and saying, hey, that was fun.
David informs us that his wife bought him a home brewing kit for Christmas.
I thought you bought him a horse for Christmas.
Oh, well, no, I think that was before.
I thought he was saying a Segway.
David, why don't you fill us in on if you got like a Mr. Beer or a real kit, like a bigger kit? Okay, you got a Mr. Beer for Christmas. Awesome. And Mr. Beer, it makes good stuff. I enjoyed what I was making, so...
Basically,
how long?
They package a lot of the process in Mr. Beer. Stuff that takes us 2 or 3 hours to make a mash and start to boil.
You buy in a can.
And there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, it's a good process to brew beer, and you can make good beer with it.
I hear a lot of people that talk down to Mr. Beer and talk bad about it, and frankly, I mean, it's gotten a lot of, here's 1, 2, 3 people just in this conversation that it's gotten into brewing.
Yep.
And all of us used it, discovered we had a passion for it, and moved on. And I don't know about you guys, but I passed my Mr. Beer on to somebody who turned out didn't want to start brewing, but now I'm passing it on to someone who actually does want to start brewing.
And my Mr. Beer went to my roommate back in college, who, from what I hear, haven't talked to him in a while, but they say he's a home brewer extraordinaire. So,
and Retzky says it's a good first step, and I've got to agree with you, David. I mean, it's fantastic for what it is.
Because brewing, the big thing about brewing is sanitation, and that you have to really, really clean a lot of stuff. So when I saw those instructions in Mr. Beer, it was like, well, whatever.
All 5 of them.
Well, it's you gotta rinse.
Okay.
Rinse.
The homebrew training bras, whatever they refer to it as. I think that's a very good description. So David got a home brewing kit for Christmas. The rest of you out there either drinking good beer or brewing good beer. Like, what got you into? Piaz, what got you into drinking good beer? Is it just hanging out at the saucer for mug night or
mug night?
Saucer for mug night. That's actually what got.
I got addicted to Fat Tire sometime late in college after I quit being a frat douche.
And started just becoming a frat guy.
Oh, I thought it was when he just became a full-on douche.
When you made the miraculous transformation from douche to man.
Yeah, what he was saying...
There was a little intern period there when I spent a summer drinking Rolling Rock and playing Mario Ball.
Right. Nice. That was a fun summer.
I segued into just wanted to try every goofy name beer at the Flying Saucer,
Right.
like Flying Dog Doggy style.
Right, of
I-
course.
I
No,
actually-
hold on one second. Rich, can you hear the studio audience on our mic?
Oh yeah, they're coming through great.
Oh, okay.
Can you hear me on my
Good.
mic?
Yeah, we can definitely hear you.
Because I can't talk.
I actually started drinking more like higher quality beers. I used to hang out at Huxler's in Norman. I don't know if you guys remember that. Just very, very classy pool hall.
I do remember that Mike Leach got kicked out of that
Mike
place.
Leach did get kicked out. I was not there that night. That would have been great. But
Yes, he was definitely wearing something pirate-ish. I think he stabbed somebody.
Arr.
But actually, that's one of those bits of trivia that I could have named any bar in Norman, and he was blacklisted from it. So I would have been right no matter what.
Mike Leach is a football coach that used to live in Norman and drinks an awful lot of beer. We love him.
I'd like to know what got him into
Actually,
drinking
that
beer.
would be a great interview for
We
Dogwood
definitely
Brewery. We need to
need to
get
interview
him
that guy.
in studio. So
Baz,
I
you're
was
a tech grad or something, right? I mean, close enough.
I graduated from the same college as you.
Oh, well,
And
you're trying to marry into tech, right?
yeah, that's right. He's tech by association.
Yeah.
So
I think eventually it's like an STD. You'll catch it.
So I was hanging out at Huxler's, and I was pals with one of the bartenders, and I believe I drank Shiner at the time. And they were at a Shiner one night, and she suggested I try a Spaten Oktoberfest, which I don't know how you get Spaten Oktoberfest out of Shiner, but it did the trick. I was hooked. I was down there every weekend.
They're both in brown bottles.
Yeah, that's a very good. That's quite a similarity. They do both come in brown
They
bottles.
both considered exports.
Yeah, that's right. They're
true.
both exports.
I always loved how
Shiner
was
is
an export.
an export.
Even in Texas.
Yeah, exactly. You know, I mean, I'm all good if you want to say premium and cheapo. You know, call it on that as on the menu as you want, but don't call an export beer something from the United States. Yeah, it's just
Let's see.
crazy.
The best is when you go to a place in Ziegenbach, it's an export, and the places in Texas consider you can only buy Ziegenbach
In Texas, yeah,
That's
exactly.
That's,
The Ziegenbach
yeah, that's a very good
conundrum.
point. That's the Ziegenbach conundrum.
Mhm.
Redsky chimes in again. He said that he started drinking good beer when he found out that he could actually afford it after he got out of the army. And I think that's about the I discovered that I enjoyed it when I was hanging out in Huxler's, but I'm with David where I discovered I could afford it when I got a real job.
Yeah.
Not that delivering pizza for a living, I couldn't afford good beer.
Well, I know.
I just couldn't afford anything.
In college, we learned quite quickly through our growing up in the hockey house and hanging out with all the hockey guys. There was only one or two guys that were like hardcore beer drinkers when we first joined as freshmen. And then it got to where there were more of us who drank some beer. And as that happened, we started to realize that we would much rather go to the liquor store, which you have to go to buy real beer in Oklahoma, and buy a six-pack of a real beer of some sort, whatever sort we wanted, just randomly pick one heated bottle off the shelf and give it a shot. We loved it.
I'm gonna interrupt you for a second, and then I'll let you go. I'm pretty sure my dad's watching. Dad, you're a big Guinness fan. Why don't you, while Piaz is asking his question, hopefully you're still watching. Well, why don't you chime in and let us know what got you drinking Guinness? And while he's doing that, Piaz, what's going on?
Actually, I was just going to clarify. Some of us went the extra mile for 109 miles and actually would drive to Texas.
Drive to Texas.
To buy Shinerbach.
Right. Yep.
And then drive back to North.
I would drive Texas to buy Shinerbach, and I would also eat a Jack in the Box while I was in town
You probably
because
stopped at BW's as well.
We
maybe,
definitely.
almost certainly, probably.
So yeah, we would actually bring back literally cases of beer from Texas when we were coming up, because what you could buy at a grocery store was what you would buy in a liquor store in Oklahoma for much, much, much more expensive. But you know, by the way, I'm just going to throw this out there: the Cellar in Norman. Any of you Normanites out there?
Fantastic.
That's just an awesome beer store.
As is not a beer store, but a bar is the one up there on Norman now.
Abner?
Called the Abner. That's
Yep.
right. It's a great beer bar, and they actually make their bartenders and waitresses take classes in the beer, the different beers that they serve, the different styles. I was at an upscale beer place the other night in Tallahassee, and the waitress offered me a Smithwick's, and it was profoundly upsetting to me. I wanted to walk out on the spot.
And for those of you who aren't Scottish like Bono,
that's right. If you're not Scottish like me,
you probably don't understand the conundrum there. But it's pronounced Smithwick's.
It is pronounced,
although spelled Smithwick's. And Dave actually asked me, his neighbor offered him one of those and said, "Have you ever had one of these? They're awesome." And I said, "Yeah, it's a good beer."
It is a fantastic beer, actually. And speaking of Irish beers, my dad chimed in and says he didn't try Guinness until he actually had it in Dublin, and after that he was hooked. I actually had the same thing happen to me. I'd never drink. I used to make fun of Guinness. I used to look at a buddy drinking Guinness and say, "Oh, dude, I've never been that hungry."
Yeah, and look at that dark beer.
Yeah, exactly, man. I started drinking Guinness in Dublin. I was hooked, dude.
I always make the joke, and I just did it the other day with a new waitress at a bar in New Orleans that we eat dinner at sometimes, and told her, I'd like a light beer. She's like, "What would you like?" I say, "A Guinness." Because, a Guinness, it's like Miller Lite.
It does. Yeah, Guinness really is.
Very little calories, very little carbs.
Guinness really is like a nice garden variety beer.
Yeah.
I mean, it's fantastic. You can just drink and drink and drink.
It just looks big.
Yeah, it looks big, but the taste is just not there.
But meanwhile, you get a beer like this, and it looks like this nice frothy yellow fizzy water, but
this
it'll kick you in the teeth.
This looks like
6.5% alcohol.
This looks like frat boy ginger ale,
doesn't it?
Yeah. Speaking of frat boys, Faz, how are you enjoying this beer?
I am a huge fan of New Belgium.
Yeah, and
Especially a big fan of regular IPA.
it's a good beer. I really like
Want
it.
some more?
Yeah,
I'm looking forward to taking a field trip to Fort Collins, Colorado this summer. That Mark will pay for, of course.
Oh, he has the good fortune of traveling all over the country for his job, and while he's doing that, he gets to try lots of different breweries.
You should wait till September and come with me and hopefully Bono to the Great American Beer Festival out there in Denver-ish area.
When is that?
Early to mid
October.
No, I think it's September.
September?
Early to Mid-September.
I thought it was October.
Somebody can check me if you can on the
First
internet.
or last week, I could totally make the business trip. Any other time?
We've got a few months to figure it out. My old man says to say hi, and Retsky says that his favorite cheap beers are Coors and Ice House.
Well, and your dad was saying that he liked Coors back before it moved east of the Rockies. And, yeah, that's kind of like, I guess it's always been...
He would rather tap the Rockies than the Mississippi River.
That's true. Well, that's where they get the water for Abita, right?
I believe so.
Just kidding. They get that from Abita Springs. In Abita Springs, that's actually a really good brewery. They make a few pretty good beers. One of the larger ones in the nation, surprisingly. One of the larger breweries.
So I don't know about you, Kyle, but I feel like this has been a good discussion. We've been able to include studio audience.
Yep.
We've been able to include the chat.
For
And
sure.
I think next week we're going to come back probably with some more formal discussions, kind of like we had been doing. But we thought we'd do something fun, different, since this is our first night in the permanent location.
Yeah, make
Kyle?
it easy. Let everybody get to be a part of the show. That's one thing, too. It's kind of fun to be able to discuss things with the audience and discuss things with the studio, the audience, and get more opinions than just ours. Because although ours are always right, it's more fun to hear.
His is always right, mine is always wrong, and there's a website devoted
It depends
to
on if you agree with me, then you're probably right.
What happens then?
It won't end up on bonoiswrong.com.
Okay.
So,
and for those of you that have been tuning in the last few weeks and are tuning in now, I mean, we're hoping that our audience will increase to more than 10 or 11 people. I don't have any pie in the sky type of visions, but I'm thinking, we'll have a bigger audience than this. So we're going to need you guys to kind of lead the way with the chat discussions and with chiming in here in the studio audience. So I'm glad that we were able to do this. Glad everybody was pretty enthusiastic about it. I think it went really well.
yeah, it was a good show, and the technical problems were resolved. We had some issues on the back end with some setting changes in BIOSes and servers and nerd speak insert here.
Yeah.
So, we fixed all those problems literally 30 minutes after the show last week, but, too little too late, kind of one of those problems. But
So
this week's going good, and hopefully as soon as we run some hardline cable in here...
Yeah, just tell me when you guys are ready to get started. We'll start recording here.
Sounds good, Rich.
So from now on, from our permanent location, we want you to always remember that we are not professionals.
So please try this at home.
Oh God, that is awful.